You're listening to the KrakCast, and we are here to talk about beer. I've got Nathan Arnold in the studio with a glass in his hand. I've got Josh Stapleton with several bottles, a bottle opener, and possibly a utensil. How are you, Josh?
I'm very well, thank you.
Are you ready to introduce us to our first beverage?
I am. The first beer is Dr. Brew American IPA, and this is...
Beer.
The label says very little that I can make sense of without my glasses.
Well, just pour it down. Stop
Just let me...
Nathan, while we get started, what do you think of Krakow's burgeoning craft brew scene? They're everywhere.
Well, it's come on quite fast, isn't it? Like there was maybe a couple of originals back in the day. There was House of Beer was one of the first. Omerta was probably another one of the other first ones that sort of did craft ales, and now you can find them all over the place. I'm not a huge fan myself, but I've agreed to the testing. Free beer is something I don't pass up too often.
Absolutely.
So why don't we give this a go?
Let's have a little taste here. Now, this is the Dr. Brew, a very famous one here in Krakow. Anyway, you see it in a lot of stores and a lot of bars, and I think it's absolutely delicious. Yeah, we're really pushing the boat out this week, listeners. We're really stretching our muscles here. We were thinking, what could we talk about? I mean, what do we usually do when we record the show? We have a beer.
It's very dry with a nice soft finish, actually.
Let me read the first comment that jumps out at me on Rate Beer here, where it's got a very high score, by the way, overall 89. Botella, hazy deep golden, medium white head, steady, aroma, fruity hops and malty, flavour, fruity hops, sweet, toasty, malty, caramel. How does that make you feel, Nathan?
It makes me feel it was written by Alan Partridge.
Yeah, I think Pharaoh Viking wishes it was written by Armando Iannucci. But
outstanding hops.
Yeah, so this is your classic kind of California IPA type flavour, I'd say, It's delicious.
So not knowing a huge amount about craft beer, because where I come from, you craft or draft, and I'm definitely draft. I don't like it when it's super hoppy, and this isn't. It's not super hoppy. It's a bit more subtle. Still taste it. It's got a nice colour to it, a bit darker.
It's not too cloudy.
I find that it's the aftertaste. Like if I could drink this, I could easily drink a pint of this, but after 2 or 3, I'll be a bit...
That's the thing about craft beer. Can you explain that a bit about the English culture of being either craft or draft? Because it goes deep in England. It's no trend where you're from, in your neck of the woods. I mean, it's real ale men are serious about their beer.
Absolutely. Well, Real Ale organisation is actually, it's a very, very old organisation, Josh, isn't it?
Well, it is, yeah. I mean, I was still at school when they started.
The campaign for Real Ale, Camera.
Yeah.
What are your own opinions on...
It's a bit of a north-south divide, would you say?
Well, I don't know. I think, I mean, historically there was... The 60s were a kind of a dead decade for beer in Britain, and, the sales were dominated by such olfactory gems as Watney's Red Barrel or Eind Coop, and that was before the invasion of cheap lager. But I think in the mid-1970s, enough was enough, and the campaign for Real Ale or Camera was started to try and reintroduce real beer that didn't rely on vast factories and aluminium vats to produce beer, and instead was done in traditional barrels and hand-pulled. And I think it was largely successful, because pretty much any pub in Britain you go to will have a real ale of some kind.
It's still very popular, people to drink real ale.
And that's why we're here today, because Krakow has had a similar revolution. I mean, the brewers in this country, the major lagers, Tyskie, Lech, Żywiec, they all taste much of a muchness, kind of okay, How did you feel when you first tasted Polish beer? I kind of loved it the first time I tasted it. It was cheap as hell, and
it was
cheap.
I think we all probably made the mistake when we first came over. We thought, we'll try the beer, taste pretty good, maybe a little bit better than we'd get back home. Sunk a few pints of it, not realising that beer back home's 4%, and here's, it was about 6.
Yeah, 5 to 6, depending.
And then find yourself on your knees after about 3 or 4 pints and a stinking headache in the morning.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, the old Żywiec hangover, somewhat legendary amongst ex-patriots. But then you do get the feeling that much like a good coffee, people are willing to pay the extra for a decent beer now, and that has caused a revolution in choice, and I think it's a hugely positive thing. It's not just the craft brewers anymore. Like every bar in Krakow now, you could always get a good coffee, which I always loved about the pubs here, but you can also now get a great selection of craft beers, and even the major brewers are reacting now. It's like it's bent the whole industry to its will. I mean, the Cheviot's APA is quite good. We won't be tasting it today, but it's not bad.
In the early days, it underpinned the industry because what it allowed was that a lot of these sort of micro breweries, they don't actually have their own facilities. They rent out facilities at some of the major brewers, give them the recipe and get them to brew it for them and bottle it up and deliver it back. So at a time when beer sales were down, when craft beer started out here, it kind of sort of boosted the industry because it was private people renting time from a real brewery to brew these beers.
Fascinating.
Well, there you go.
But you know a lot about craft beer for someone who's a draft man, Nathan, I have to say.
Well, I've got my fingers in many pies, Dave.
We didn't ask about your pile
moving
up.
swiftly on.
Okay, so
well, how about rating this out of 10 each?
Okay, I'm going to give this, because I like APAs. I like the kind of the fruity invitingness, the difference of the flavour from a regular lager. I'm going to give this 8 out of 10. I think it's a very good example of an APA.
Well, I agree with Dave. It's very tasty indeed. It's got a fruitiness. It's got a dryness. The smell is particularly nice. Kind of like mass-produced beers tend to not really smell of anything except of kind of cleaning products. I like this a lot. I give it an 8. Of course, I don't know what's yet to come. So, maybe I've rated it too high. Maybe not high enough. Who knows?
Crack open another beer there while I give you a compliment. You're right, so right to mention the aroma. That is one of the nicest things about these craft beers. They smell wonderful.
I'll give it that. I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm not a big craft man, but
Lagers doesn't smell good.
No, it doesn't. Some of the ones I've tried over the years have been a lot worse than this, so I'll give it a 7.
Oh, he's giving it a 7. Josh, open the other APA. Now, I went for a slightly cheaper one. This one will retail in most stores for about 5 zloty, which for an APA is reasonably cheap. Can you give us the name there, Josh?
This is from Browar Amber, and I kind of like Amber. They make a few beers that are very reasonably priced from the right outlets, Biedronka, for example, and generally have real ingredients in them and generally taste pretty good. I've not tried this APA, so I'm rather looking forward to it.
Crack it, Levis.
I will. Here we go.
While he's doing that, for those perhaps listening who are not familiar with the terms, APA is it American Pale Ale?
It is indeed, yes.
So how does that differ from an Indian Pale Ale, an IPA?
I have no idea. We're hoping we throw this piece out as like a teaser, so people will want to bring us free beer and talk about it. Get with the program, Nathan. I'm bluffing here.
Is that an American IPA as opposed to an Indian Pale Ale or a Native American Pale Ale? Yeah, okay. Coat fetched.
Yeah, I'll get my coat.
Yeah, just pour the beer there, you. Okay, good man. But what is the difference? You hear stories about the Indian Pale Ale being brewed stronger to survive the journey to India, from the brewers in England. But I've heard that that's all bollocks, really. It's just an old wives' tale. So we've got APA number 2 here from Amber Brewery.
It's lighter and cloudier than the last one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, smells nice.
I think actually the cloud is just effervescence. It's kind of beginning to clear. I also noticed that this one is 5.2% and the Dr. Brew is 6.2. So this one should taste noticeably lighter.
So we'll be slurring by the end of this edition.
I repeat myself.
Of the KrakCast.
It's not great, this one. I'm not having this one. Oh, I mean, I like it. Amber, if you want to give us any free beer. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Doesn't smell as nice as the other one.
It kind of has more of a... I've drank in real ale bars in England, and this, to me, tastes like a colder version of the type of thing you get served there. I wouldn't be mental about camera ales now, just because I'm an ignoramus more than anything.
Does Pharaoh Viking have anything to say about this?
No, not on this one, but there's all sorts of aroma talk. This one's got an overall rate beer score of only 38. As I said, I wanted to scale the economic ladder in my choices, and my third choice, Pacific Pale Ale, wasn't actually there. So, yes. Artisan Brewery, we welcome you on the show anytime.
Well, I quite like this, actually. I think that this has most of the qualities that I liked in the Dr. Brew. It's got lower alcohol. It's slightly lighter. I think for me, I could probably spend longer drinking this one, in a proper session than if I was obliged to drink Dr. Brew. I probably wouldn't be at the session for very long.
Well, plus it's 6%, so yeah.
Klutschborg says, bottle, aroma, some lighty grainy, maltiness and even weaker hoppy tones, some citrus and resin, pale, almost clear, with a medium, good-looking head. Tastes better, more hoppy, notes nice grapefruit and lemon, subtle, pleasant, grainy.
How much of reviews like that are real and how much they just throw words in? Resin?
Oh, I can pick up some grapefruit, though. That's quite interesting.
Can you pick up resin?
You know what? Now that Klutschborg says it, you can you not smell a bit of grapefruit on there now?
Is there a word for a beer sommelier?
Yeah, an asshole. Oh God! I mean, look, I love wine as well, but and I know what wines I like, but my knowledge is not very spectacular. I just like the taste of it,
Right.
I'd say it's probably good that John Adkins is not here.
I don't think John is into the craft brew scene.
No,
he prefers a lager with a little raspberry juice to take the edge off.
Yeah.
Give it some freedom.
No offense to our listeners, but what do Americans know about beer?
Oh, that's a bit harsh. The craft brew scene in America, these are both called American pale ales.
I can actually testify to that because I was in Brooklyn last year.
Brooklyn, there's breweries everywhere.
Yeah, there are a lot of pop-up sort of craft breweries all over the place there.
Yeah, very unfair, America.
With appropriately dressed men in beards, shorts, no socks and shoes.
I think Chicago's massive scene as well. Denver's a massive craft brewing scene, and California.
Seattle, I would
Seattle.
imagine. Yeah.
Oh, they're more famous for their coffee, but yes, also.
And they're grunge.
Back off, Cobain.
Yes.
Okay, so it is time for the scores, George Doris. What are we giving this APA? I'm giving this a measly 4.5 out of 10. I wouldn't order this again, to be honest with you, because of there's some kind of kick off the end of it. But I don't like it.
Yeah.
I like this a lot. I don't like it quite as much as Dr. Brew, but I think that it will be more friendly towards me over the longer run, as I said earlier. So I'm going to give this 7.8 to reflect the superiority of Dr. Brew, but still I like this one quite a lot.
Me, it's much of a muchness. I'm going to give it a 5.
Generous
for somebody who doesn't like this stuff.
Oh, pity about you. It's a hard old life, isn't it? Tasting beers. Oh, he's poured quite a lot into our cup. He didn't like that at all.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually a bit nervous about the last one because I've got a feeling I've had Attack Mielu before. And
yeah,
Josh, give us the introductions.
Okay, so we're coming up for the what I think is one of Dave's personal favourites, and
It
this is one
is.
that I've tried, and on a couple of occasions I can remember trying. This is called Attack Mielu.
It's a strong one, is what Josh is getting at.
Which is, I believe, is Polish for attack of hops.
yeah,
This one is, by reputation, a very hoppy beer. It has, what's the alcohol content? 6.1. So actually a shade weaker than the Dr. Brew that we started off with. I'll just take the top off.
I'm glad you said the and not my.
Okay.
As you clearly heard, he needed 2 stabs at it, listeners. Very disappointing.
I'll just pass the bottle over to Dave.
Oh, look at that. Beautiful dark amber colour.
Here we go. It smells strong.
Oh, yes.
Oh my God, that's rank.
With a mighty rate beer score of 93, we have one of the titans of the blooming craft beer scene. The only place I know, now I might be out of date here, but I used to always specifically go to Omerta to get this on tap because it's even nicer with the pump, and watching it looks like a stout rising. What's wrong with you, Nathan? Speak up.
I've actually put my glass down. It's too hoppy for me.
Send it over here.
Yeah,
Yeah, send it over to the
I don't
daddy.
like it when it's too hoppy.
This is an
It
out
offends my southern roots.
Oh, this is an out-and-out attack, as the name suggests, but we can't have a comparison of all the same types of beer, Nathan. I needed something a bit extreme to kind
That's
of...
fine.
This is, for me, is absolutely delicious, but it's... I mean, it's not like a beer, really. It's more like a wine. I couldn't imagine really drinking a pint. Well, maybe one pint, but then the second pint would be a struggle. But in a glass like a wine glass, then I mean, it's like marmalade, the really kind of bitter English marmalade that completely is no longer available in this country since Tesco stopped doing it. But that's another story. This is full of flavour.
What would you eat with it, Josh?
Toast.
Nozzle Want on ratebeer.com has this to say. Pours a slightly hazy, deep golden, amber, with a very light tan head, great lacing. Hoppy, malty aroma, light yogurt note. Hints of wood, bread, berries, flavour is spicy, floral hops. Malt in the background, yogurt, ...
It's so pretentious, isn't
It's
it?
yogurt twice, if I...
Yeah. I mean, double yogurt. I don't taste any yogurt in there. I mean, if you put yogurt in beer, I'm not a brewing expert. I'd say that would be a problem, wouldn't it?
I mean, is there some kind of school you have to go to learn how to put a comment on rate beer? It's just a lot of singular words.
Well,
think,
it's
reminds
riding
me
on the
of-
coattails of wine tasting, isn't it? Where you've got leather and berries and orchard fruits and rotting moss and
Ridiculous.
Because it's all
bottoms.
singular words, it reminds me of Jazz Club on the Fast Show.
Yes.
Berries, yogurt.
But there is an element of, so what? If it makes them make good beer, I say bring on a little hipster-based pretension. You know, the good thing about beer as well is no one's really an expert in it because they mash the styles together in ways no winemaker ever
come on,
would.
like-
You know, winemakers don't go out one day and just say, I'm going to get crazy today. No, they hone a grape like to perfection.
Have
over
you ever
years.
seen anyone in a pub sip a craft beer and go, bread?
Yeah, okay. I mean, there's issues with any type of fandom. Have you ever seen a Spider-Man fan dressed up on a Saturday down the pub? It's not a good look either.
Do you ever see a
we live
wine
in
taster?
Krakow, capital of the stag parties. Of course I've seen someone dressed up as Spider-Man down the pub on a Saturday.
Oh God.
I mean, you ever see a wine taster going like, I get grapes from this.
Would you hear me say, I need more of this before I can give you my decision, even though I've been drinking this for years. Yeah, Josh is right. The stuff is lethal, by the way. Attack Kiamalu. Is that how you say?
Yeah. Khmelu.
I just find it a little bit like people trying to outdo each other with the most random sort of thing.
dry
This
and-
reminds me of that I can put into a comment. Oldsmobile 76.
It's dry and cool like your wit, Nathan. So I need a score from you, Nathaniel.
0.
That's ridiculous. This has got a 93 on Rate Beer. I mean, it's an incredibly popular pour, this
Because
one.
that's how it works. I the films I choose to watch are the ones that are rated highest on smash hits.
A fair point. I think it's delicious. And as we've established already, he's draft, not craft.
I also think it's delicious.
Cheers, Josh. You get a clink.
Okay.
Do I get kicked
Nathan was
out?
completely excluded from that, listeners, because of his attitude towards this delicious, delicious strong beer.
Are you going to edit me out post-show?
No, we're too lazy.
I'm not getting invited back, though, am I?
Of course you are. we invited you in because of your boundless knowledge about everything. You even managed to give a great history of the beer industry, even though you claim to hate the stuff.
Well,
So let me conclude by asking you this. What's your favourite bar in Krakow?
what, beer bar?
Beer bar, as in a place to get a craft beer, not like your all-time favourite hangout. I mean, if you're going just for... Is there any beer you'd go for just for...
If I was going to go out and
particularly
craft beer, and I had to pick something for quality, not know anything about it, I'd probably go to Tea Time because I know that they brew it on site and it's made right there, and I know a couple of the guys, so that would make sense to me. It's going to be fresh.
Well said. Josh?
Well, yeah, Tea Time, very good, actually. I'd recommend that. But I think if I'm going to make a choice, I'd have to go for Emerta. It was the first kind of craft beer pub I went to. I've been there with Dave many times over the years, and I can never remember getting home.
It's only a short walk, though.
I know.
Yeah, I suppose I'll give House of Beer the nod then, just because the place is awesome. But I really secretly prefer Omerta too, because it's closer to my house and I can stumble home all in one go. Well, I think this is going to be a regular thing, us drinking while talking. I mean, I just love the format. What about you, Josh?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I didn't hiccup once.
So the next time we talk about beer, I suppose we'll have some major sponsors coming in with butlers and steel trays and casks and fancy whitetails. Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You fucking need one anyway. Yeah, I got
Josh's floor's not looking too pretty at the moment.
Okay, listeners, we hope that has been informative and entertaining. We're going to finish these beers before they get warm.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Zdrowie.